Welcome to LOTC Presents Black Glove Mysteries, where every other Friday we will take you on a journey through Italian cinema, specifically giallo, but we reserve the right to take other avenues such as polizieschi, spaghetti westerns, Euro crime films. Either way, you will hear and now see us talk Italian cinema. This is episode 481, double 88. I'm your host, Greg Mortis, along with Ian La Punelli Urza. What's up, Ian?
Yankee got shut up, Yankee Doodle Dandy, na 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 na, and called him macaroni.
Which one was that on? I can't even remember now.
Cannibal Apocalypse
Cannibal
when
Apocalypse.
Giovanni or
Yeah.
Johnny is singing to the
I love I love it.
singing to the police.
Welcome back to LOTC Presents. Once again, this is Black Glove Mysteries, and we're super excited to be back. It's our second week again. Every 2 weeks here, you get us. Tonight, we're going to be looking at a couple of films. One of them a cannibal film, and another one an adventure film. So we're doing the Cannibal Apocalypse. Ian and I both have this Kino Labor Blu-ray, which is awesome, as well as Ark of the Sun God. Ian's got that beautiful slip case. Oh, gorgeous.
88 films. I stuck with the 88 films and didn't get the Severin one because they didn't port over the commentary for whatever reason. So I was like, I'm just going to stick with the 88 films one then.
Yeah, Severin done that whole box set. They did like the Margheriti adventure film. I think you said they're kind of like
The Indiana Jones ripoffs. They're based. That's what they are. I mean, this one really kind of is. So I mean,
100%.
You watched it, so
yeah, we'll talk about it too.
Yeah.
So what we're going to be doing once again is Cannibal Apocalypse from 1980, and then Ark of the Sun God from 1984. So two cool Italian films that we'll get into. Two really cool directors too. Of course, no, it's all one. It's who directed now. We know that Antonio Margheriti, of course, directed the Ark of the Sun God because that's just whatever. But he did Cannibal Apocalypse as well. But here's the thing with Giovanni in this one. Could you have seen Giovanni over on Ark of the Sun God? Would he have been a good fit?
I think he would have been. He could have played John Steiner's role, maybe, or he could have just played one of the villains. I mean, I don't know how well he would have worked as someone who's Turkish, but still, he could have just played one of the villains. I mean, I don't know.
All they would have had to do is just dub him like he does.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it was he. I mean, he would have been dubbed by maybe the same person, Ted Rusoff or Nick Alexander, who usually supervises the dubbing because that's who dubbed the two villains. But anyway, yeah. You know what I was thinking, and we'll get to this. As I was watching it, it's one of those things where John Steiner kind of retired from acting, and this is just a quick aside. John Steiner retired from acting kind of after the Italian film industry was kind of in decline, basically. But I honestly thought out of a lot of the actors who could have could have retired or stuck around or whatever, he probably would have been a really good villain on British television. And the more I thought about it, I was like, when I see him, I thought, John Steiner would have been a really good Hannibal Lecter. I actually think he would have been very good at that, at a role like that. Like imagine the guy with the way he looks, like, unblinking and a sort of posh British voice. He would have been very good in a role like that.
I could see that. I could 100% see that. Anything BBC as well. I mean,
Oh yeah, for sure. He would have made a killing there. But I mean, he ended up getting into real estate in California, so I'm sure he was doing fine. And unfortunately, I mean, even though he was, I think in his 80s, he died of a car accident, unfortunately. So he probably would have been around a little longer.
Yeah, damn, that sucks. So what we'll be doing is we'll get into these two films. We'll break them down and. Like we like to do, I like to do them in chronological order. It's just a little bit easier for me to get my mind wrapped around. So we'll, of course, be going to the Cannibal Apocalypse 1980 here in a second. But I want to say, if you haven't subscribed to our channel here at YouTube, man, I really would love for you to hit that subscribe button where you'll see us every other Friday, Ian and I, as well as I'll do Blu-ray, DVD, 4K updates. I'll do anything, man. There's no telling what I'll get into. I need to get back to a lot of different stuff other than just that. But right now, it's a little bit more of just Blu-ray unboxing because every month we're getting different ones. But with that said, man, I would super love for you to hit that subscribe button. And if you're listening to this on the audio podcast platform, whether it's Apple, Spotify, or whatever, welcome to that as well. And I do want to mention on Spotify, we have been getting, for whatever reason, flagged for music stuff. So some of the episodes have disappeared over on Spotify, the last couple, three or whatever. We'll be going back through and redoing those, and any kind of music that I can find that may have been used will be took out so we can resubmit them. So you'll see, if you're on Spotify, you may see episode 456 pop up all of a sudden instead of 4 or whatever. But that's what we're trying to do, is get those episodes back out there. We have made mention in the group, so I'll make a mention here. We do have some that do voicemails with music and different things. We're just going to have to start editing all that out, because obviously Spotify is the only one that's really being a stickler about little 5-second clips and stuff.
Is this going to become one of those things where they would always say you could get the uncut version of something in the Japanese market back in the day? So at any other place but Spotify, you can hear exactly what you want to hear out of Land of the Creeps, but Spotify, it's
you're going to have to
issue. Apple Podcasts, for those who have Apple devices, they're fine. But
that's right. Like it's ridiculous. But anyway, so is what it is. We will try to re-upload these episodes, so they may come out. You may get the same episode you thought had already been out before. But anyway, so just letting you know, it may be out of sequence if you're listening to this on audio platforms. If it is, sorry. But anyway, so we're super excited. We're going to be getting into, once again, 1980, John Saxon, Antonio Margheriti's Cannibal Apocalypse. This is a nice Blu-ray, by the way. I was thoroughly enjoying the look of it. I didn't get to listen to commentary, but they did have the documentary Cannibal Apocalypse Redux, as well as an interview with Tony King, actor, and then they got Apocalypse in the Streets, which was, dude, all these special features seem super oldie, and specifically the video tour of Atlanta, Georgia, where it was filmed. Wow, did it look old and stuff, but it's pretty fun. But anyway, so I did like the bonus features, and I think you ended up getting. Did you get to the commentary? I think.
Yeah, I did. I did get to the commentary for both of these. Yeah.
And that's Tim Lucas.
I didn't get to the documentary. I'll probably end up watching the documentary, though. That does sound pretty interesting.
It's like 54 minutes long. It's a long.
Oh, wow. There you go. Yeah.
And there's Antonio Margheriti, there's John Saxon, Giovanni Lombardo Radici, and some others on there. So it's pretty cool. So they give a little bit of take on there. We'll get into it about John Saxon and his the thrill and the non-thrill of being in Cannibal Apocalypse. We'll get into some of that stuff. But with that said, let's go ahead and break it in. What you got for a plot synopsis for Cannibal Apocalypse?
I'm just I'll just take it from the back of this. It looks pretty comprehensive. Brand new 4K master. The horrors of war take on a whole new meaning for Vietnam vet Norman Hopper, played by John Saxon, whose quiet domestic life in Atlanta is shattered by the return of Charlie Bukowski, a combat buddy who dredges up terrifying flashbacks of flesh eating and bloodshed in the war-torn jungles. Now on the run from the law after taking a bite out of an unwilling victim, Charlie begs Norman to help him get out of town with another fellow veteran, Tom, played by Tony King. I think they call him Tommy. Played by Tony King from Report to the Commissioner and Raiders of Atlantis. Soon the ragtag team of cannibals are fighting for their lives, spreading a deadly contagion throughout the city before heading into the sewers for a gut-wrenching climax no one will soon forget. One of the most infamous Italian horror films of all time. Cannibal Apocalypse was heavily censored in many countries where it played under such titles as Cannibals in the Streets and Invasion of the Flesh Hunters. Now you can finally experience this thrilling collision of action-packed combat and monstrous horror from cult director Antonio Margheriti in its original gory splendor for the first time in fully restored HD, not for the faint of heart or those with full stomachs.
This did make the video nasties for whatever reason back then as well. Here's the thing, Antonio. I just love saying Antonio Margheriti. Antonio Margheriti. There's the documentary he's talking on there, and it's really cool to hear him and some of the stuff he had to say. So this one, we got a lot of stock footage some Vietnam War stuff going on. This random.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was, but he had shot so much like real footage with helicopter stuff in his other films. It's like it's not like he wasn't capable of doing that. It's just more like, yeah, whatever. I'm not going to do it this time.
Yeah,
Although I think most of those films came after this. Actually,
I
we're
think
going to
so.
talk about what I believe is the best kind of combined quantity and quality for any Italian genre director. I'm not like literally ever is his run from 1980 to 1986
Nice.
or 85. It might be 85, but either way, doesn't take a year off. He was sometimes releasing multiple films a year, and they're all films I like. And he just made so many in that time period. It's insane. Like most other people would take a break, or they're just that quantity of releases didn't last quite as long. And it's like he just went through it for like that 5 or 6 year period, multiple films, all of which I really like.
Yeah. Yeah, he was definitely a director that gave us a lot of catalogs, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. For him, it was actually good because most of his films are, there are some redeeming values even in some of his lesser known films usually.
Yeah, and the thing is he was still able to do relatively what he wanted to do even into the 80s, whereas a lot of directors had kind of either started falling off by that point. They either weren't getting the budgets they wanted, or they weren't really working in the types of films he wanted, where he kind of evolved and just said, well, okay, I'll just put my miniatures into this or that, and I'll have fun with it, and I'll have some
Yeah.
explosions and all this kind of stuff. Like he found a way to do that with almost everything he was doing, whether it was this being a cannibal film. Then he did a lot of the non-exploitation jungle films. Then he did the macaroni combat sort of mercenary military films throughout the 80s. He did a creature feature in the late 80s with Alien in the Abyss, or Alien from the Deep. He did Treasure Island in outer space. It was like he was just
Hercules.
he was doing a ton of stuff well, and that was early on. But
Yeah.
he, out of every director, he's probably the best journeyman Italian director I can think of. Fulci's kind of close. Fulci did find a horror niche a little later on,
Yeah.
but like Margheriti did peplum films. He did, the gothic horror films. He did sci-fi films. He did Euro spy films in the 60s. He ended up directing a Euro crime film in the 70s. Well, a couple of them. He did The Squeeze, but he also did Death Rage, which I personally like a little more. He did a couple of spaghetti westerns. Pretty much every genre you can think of, he was doing. The only thing he never really did was post-apocalyptic, but he did do a sword and sorcery film with Reb Brown. So he kind of dabbled in that genre
Yeah.
instead. So basically anything that was out there, any fad the Italians had, he was around for pretty much all of it. But he was a really good special effects, miniatures, and models guy. I mean, he did the miniatures and models and like the explosions for Once Upon a Time. No, sorry, Duck You Sucker, A Fistful of Dynamite.
Yeah.
So that was him. You see those miniature trains and all those explosions in that movie. That's him. So.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you look at his catalog, as Ian's mentioning, man, just go down and look at it. And there's some bangers in there for sure, man.
There's a reason why Tarantino, sort of has homages to him in some of his films, like when Eli Roth says his name is Antonio Margheriti in Disguise and Inglourious Bastards, and then Leonardo DiCaprio's character in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is starring in an Antonio Margheriti spaghetti western. It's like it's you can tell it's like, yeah, of course Tarantino loves his movies, because most people who love this stuff do like his movies.
Yeah, yeah. Died at the age of 72, born September 19th, 1930, died November 4th, 2002. But he did give us several films that we can enjoy. So thankful for that. And this is two of his films that I had never seen. I've seen Cannibal Apocalypse before. Once I started watching that, I 100% remembered pretty much all of it. But Ark of the Sun God that we'll review next, I had never seen that one. That was a first time viewing, so it was fun watching that one. But into Cannibal Apocalypse, the character John Saxon, who's basically playing like a sergeant in the military, they come in as a search and rescue type situation, and there's two soldiers that are in a pit with a cage type situation. They're trapped or whatever, and during that time, John Saxon's character and the military are coming through, and they're doing what they did in the Vietnam War, where they're burning out the pits and the caves and different things, trying to kill and get rid of all these. And plus, they're still trying to find soldiers. And they end up finding what an amazing scene with Giovanni and Tony King or Tom Thompson. So you got Charlie and Tom in this pit, and there's this one person ends up getting close to them. They grab them and they start immediately eating them, like cannibalistically eating them. And then Norman Hopper, John Saxon, shows up and they see him, and they go to reach in and they reach up and bite. Like, dude, they have totally flipped. But this is what the movie is all about. We don't know it at first. But what ends up happening in this movie is that this virus, it's a contagion spreading of cannibalism. Like if you're bit, you kind of grab and you rage and you become a cannibal somewhat, right? And you just kind of, so it's an interesting take of a film. I thought it was at least not you didn't really get the jungle. You had that one opening scene. After that, everything's in the streets, which ends up being in Atlanta, Georgia. So you got a lot of that, which I thought was unique. Some good gore effects. I thought the gore was pretty good when needed.
Gianetto de Rossi.
Yes, man, done such a really good job. I thought the acting was really good in this film. I thought the musical score was good in this film. I can see why it's compared to Dawn of the Dead, or kind of bunched in with the Dawn of the Dead, George A. Romero, because it kind of has that, kind of like a feel of that somewhat.
Yeah, it's David Cronenberg's Rabid as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I don't know if it took influence from any Vietnam thing specifically, but The Deer Hunter was right around this time as well. So I think especially because John Saxon's character is a special forces guy. They sort of make note of that, especially with the uniform he wears, whereas the other two are kind of regular soldiers. And that's similar to what happens in The Deer Hunter, where it's actually Robert De Niro's character, just by coincidence, runs into Christopher Walken and John Savage. They're just kind of, I think, regular soldiers, whereas he's like a special forces guy. So I think that might have been something that we're going for as well. But it takes influences from I would say those three movies specifically.
Yeah, I would see that. One thing I did during the documentary, John Saxon had mentioned when he decided to take this role, he said it hit at a right time. He was basically in the middle or going through a divorce. He had two different mortgages because he had two different homes. So he said the film came at a perfect time. He's like, hey, because two mortgages or whatever. And he read the script, and he said he knew some Italian still, but he said, the way that they write their language sometimes, he understood some of it. But here's the thing. John Saxon didn't know this was going to be a cannibal film. And once he started this film, he said there was this scene where they brought basically some meat, and he's looking at it and he's reading. He's like, what?
Yeah, I've heard this story.
Yeah. He said, why the meat? What are we doing with the meat? Explain to me why the meat. And that's when, Marguerite ends up telling him, he's like, oh, no, like that. Well, he took a couple days off. There was a break or something. He took a couple days off. He said he went to go see his mother. And he said the whole time he was so depressed because when he found out that this was he said he liked the fact that this was like a military, and his character seemed like, he said he felt like he was a hero. He was like trying to help, and there was these different scenes. So he said he felt like he was a hero in this movie. But then when he saw where it ended up going, he's like, well, I don't want to do this. Like,
I think that other stuff could have been weighing on him just as much, truth be told. I don't know exactly what he expected, truth be told.
Right.
It's like,
well, he said he knew it was a horror movie,
right,
whatever you want to call it. But he liked the fact that he was playing somewhat of a hero character. But then we see that he ends up becoming, kind of entrapped in this same situation. So it becomes something totally different. But, he ended up going with it. At one time he had talked about stepping away, but he's like, no, I'm going to do it. So he stuck through it. And it is what it is. I mean, is it one of his favorite films? No, by no means. And even Giovanni. But it's definitely better. Giovanni liked it better than he did Cannibal
Ferox. Yeah, of course he did.
Still does not like Cannibal.
Yeah. What I really like about this movie is, you can dismiss it all you want, and certain probably, actual whatever prestige film critics with sticks up their ass are going to say that
Yeah,
it
yeah,
dismiss it. But to me, I actually really think that the idea of, these Vietnam veterans coming home and having some kind of contagion basically is kind
yeah,
of interesting. Like it's the whole idea of, well, I brought something home with me that's never going to be changed. I kind of like that idea.
yeah,
I mean, is it a bit, it's obviously not realistic, but I still really like it as an idea, as an allegory for PTSD and sort of war experience. But
hmm,
there's even other stuff in here that's interesting, like the whole thing of the, Johnny's character, Bukowski, kind of losing his marbles and going on like a mass shooting, basically. Like that
yeah.
feels as prominent as ever nowadays,
It does.
So
Yeah,
it's like there's stuff here that actually really, like, that really is more than just a silly, genre film or a video nasty. There's way more to it than
yeah,
that.
100%, 100%. What did you think? Now we got this. John Saxon's character. He wakes up. He has this nightmare. He sees what's going on, and at the opening sequence, and then he wakes up. It's a nightmare, right? And he's talking to his wife, and then there's a scene with him and his neighbor. This young girl comes over, and wow, like you knew where this was going.
You
Like
know, what's
she
weird is
the
she's
scene where she's sitting there and she's like, I got a cramp, when she has him grab the inside of her thigh. I'm like, bro, step away, get away. You're fixing to get yourself in trouble. And then he ends up biting her. But anyways, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, it's funny. She was 19 or 20 when she filmed this, but she looks younger than
She
that. It's
does.
kind of odd. Like,
Yeah.
what's also makes it more odd is she was the little girl in Cat of Nine Tails,
Was
in
she?
Argento's Cat of Nine. Yeah, she was.
No way.
Yeah,
I
she
should have known
is.
that.
Yeah.
Dang.
And yeah, I mean, that whole scene is odd, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think there's something. I mean, actually, you could even read more into that. His temptation in that
Yeah.
scene, you
Yeah.
can got like there's more to that as well.
Mm.
But yeah, that's one of those scenes. It's, you don't forget it. Let's put it that way.
No, because I thought now his wife Jane Hopper was played by Elizabeth Turner. Weird. There's some her and the doctor. I got to give the doctor
Well, the
filled me in.
doctor's trying to move in on her.
Yeah, Ramiro Oliveros is the actor's name, but yeah, his character. He's like, oh, you should have married me all along, and all this stuff. We could. I'm like, dude, you're trying to so play into this whole situation, and Norman, John's character, he's battling through all this PTSD and all this stuff, and um, God, I felt for him. But what I love about this movie, the beginning part of this movie, I liked, and then it kind of got in that little lull. And then Giovanni's character Charlie gets out of this asylum type thing, or this whatever it was, and he gives Norman a call immediately, like, "Hey, we should have a beer or something," and then that starts something. But it's the second to third half of this movie that, to me, really hits good. This is where the gore comes in. This is where you got the underground cellar part, or the underground tunnel part, and police, military, all these different things going on. I thought a
The
lot.
police captain is awesome.
Oh,
Fucking
he's
love
so
him.
good. He's so
So,
good.
some of his lines, man. Like, apparently, he was like a World War II veteran or something. The
Uh-huh.
actor, and he was kind of in a Georgia local. He did a lot of like theater work or something in the area. But
Oh my God.
he has some amazing moments.
Captain
I'm trying to see if I
Captain
can find.
McCoy,
Oh
Wallace
yeah,
Wilkinson. Yeah.
yeah. No good cocksucking son of a bitch, he says when Johnny shoots at them
Yeah.
at one point. He's gonna be singing through his asshole when I'm through with him. And he's like, it's time to shit or get off the pot.
Yeah.
He just has so many killer lines, and he's definitely dubbing his own voice, you can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought Nurse Helen, she plays the part May Heatherly. It's kind of cool because once you realize what's happening in this movie, you just take it for what it is, right? It's ridiculous, fantastical. It is whatever. The fact that cannibalism could be spread as a contagion is weird and whatever. That's one thing Giovanni said in the documentary. He said, like, this script was preposterous. Like, it was whatever. But when it's all said and done, it was an entertaining film with good gore effects, good acting. music. You got John Saxon in this thing, so you got some redeeming qualities about this movie. I did not realize that it was Cynthia DeCarlos who played Mary, though. Wow, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, it's one of those
Wow.
interesting coincidences.
Yeah, I love
Um,
that.
did you think the ending, not that I want to give anything away too much, it kind of reminded me of Bay of Blood, just the
It
way
did.
it ended a little bit. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was one thing that I got out of this. Another line the cop has is it's toward the end. And he's like ashes to ashes, shit to shit. so many good, so many good
And I
lines.
wonder how much of that Dardano Sacchetti, who we know worked with Antonio Margheriti as well as Lindsay, some others, but he did the screenplay for this one. I wonder how much of that was him or was some of that Antonio Margheriti. Antonio said he didn't do much to the script. Like it
No, I'm
stayed
sure he
pretty
didn't.
much the same, other than once they started filming, there was a few things that was changed on the dime. But other than that, I think that was pretty much his script. Like, so some of this is definitely Dardano doing some cool lines in there for sure. The music was by Alexander Blankensteiner. Blanksteiner, which, like I said, I thought the music was pretty good.
Yeah,
Uh,
very disco-y. This was
it
only, I think
was.
he only scored like 3 films or something, from what
Yeah.
I've heard.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
one and Ark of the Sun God especially has this one goofy song that just, oh my God, dude, it's hilarious. And I want to play it, but then I know what'll end up happening, and so I can't. But God, just look up when we get to Ark of the Sun God, just look up that song.
I did enjoy some of like the Sam Peckinpah-esque action at the beginning of the film, like the
Yeah,
part when the guy gets blown up by the grenade and goes
yeah.
flying in slow motion. I think the Delacqua brothers did some of the stunts on this, which would make sense. John Saxon's got the Thompson submachine gun. He's just mowing down a bunch of Viet Cong, well, supposedly Viet Cong,
Yeah.
with it. And, you get the flamethrowers,
Oh,
which come
I
back at
love
the end.
flamethrowers. Yeah,
Yeah, when Tony King just gets burned to
he
death.
does.
I always have liked Tony King. He had an interesting career. He did some mainstream Hollywood films before this. He was kind of I would say a B-lister in blaxploitation films. He was in Bucktown. He's actually the main villain of Hell Up in Harlem. He gets a nice fight with Fred Williamson at the end. They must have been good enough friends to where he brought him back. Fred Williamson brought him back again for a movie called The Big Score, which if Fred Williamson likes you, usually that I would say that's a good thing, because if he doesn't like you, he'll let you know. Let's put it that way. He is not shy about saying that he dislikes someone.
Right.
There's a story about Fred Williamson. This is a quick aside. He was offered a part in I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, which is like a blaxploitation sort of parody that the Wayans brothers did. And they I think it was Keenan Ivory Wayans, gave him a script or something or whatever, told him what he wanted to do. Fred Williamson went to him, tore up the piece of paper or whatever it was right in front of him, and just walked away. So, he's not shy about letting people know how he
Yeah.
feels if he doesn't like them or doesn't like their ideas or whatever. So,
And I don't know too many people would stand up to him either. So
no, definitely not. I had some well, I'll get back to Tony King for a second. So he went on to do some other Italian films. He was with Margheriti for The Last Hunter and Tiger Joe, was also in Raiders of Atlantis, but he also appeared in The Godfather. He's a stable hand in The Godfather in one scene. I can't remember the guy's name, but the Hollywood executive where they put the severed horse's head in his bed or whatever. There's a scene kind of right before that in the horse stable, and he's one of the stable hands.
okay.
But I just had a few notes. I didn't take
Yeah.
too many, but from the commentary.
Yeah, go ahead.
Margheriti would often leave the effects work to others in bigger budget films like this one. So Gianetto De Rossi did most of the stuff really for the effects and even the explosions and everything. So they get some Sam Peckinpah influence, which you can see in that explosion at the beginning with the grenade and everything.
Yeah.
Luca Venantini, who is Valentino Venantini's son, Valentino Venantini, who plays one of the cops. This, by the way, is the third film that he was in with Giovanni. I didn't realize they were in so many films together. His son plays the boy, the neighbor, and it's actually his own voice on the soundtrack, apparently.
Oh, okay.
When the woman, the female doctor, what's her name? Helen Glorious? I can't remember.
Which one?
The nurse Helen.
Yeah, Nurse Helen. Yeah.
Yeah, May Heatherly, who
May
was
Heather.
also in Pieces, apparently. There's a part that part when she bites the tongue off of the other doctor, who I call Dr. King Charles because he looks exactly like King Charles.
Yeah.
Um, it was originally supposed to be her giving him a blowjob and biting his dick off, but they changed that
Yeah.
for
Yeah. That
whatever
was
reasons.
that was John Saxon because he said he was not. There was supposed to be some private parts eaten in that, and yeah, he said, "No, I'm not doing that."
Giovanni did not like filming a lot of the sewer stuff, which was a set. It wasn't an actual sewer, but the low ceilings, they were all sweating. There was like makeup, like makeup blood basically all over them that was hard to get off because it was all sticky. He just didn't enjoy that very much. Apparently, he kept calling Gianetto de Rossi the big bomber because of his tendency to overpack his like special effects, like explosives. And he said that scene where the look in his eyes toward the end for that scene is genuine, like the look of fear, because he's like, I don't want this prosthetic to kind of explode. So
Yeah.
there was that element. I really like that. This is one of the only Italian films that I can think of where like the gunshots are shown to be just really violent in
Yeah.
their effects towards people, which I think they do really well here. You don't see that in a lot of other Italian films. I think they probably had the budget and wanted to show it in this movie a little bit more than some others. There's some great special effects here. That scene with like the what's it called? The bone saw, not the bone saw, but whatever that kind of saw is
Yeah.
that they use in the mechanic shop where they cut the leg off. That was
It was
another
great.
awesome effects
Yeah.
moment. The tongue rip was cool too with Dr. King Charles.
Yes.
I swear, Tim Lucas pointed it out that he looks like King Charles. I'm like, oh my gosh, he does look like King Charles.
Oh my God, dude. Man, I cannot get my god dang. Why is my letterbox not working tonight?
Also, I wanted to point out too, John Saxon, his physique in this movie is great. That looks
Oh, he looked
awesome.
great. Yeah,
Yeah,
he was fit.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, when he's like, let's see, when he was over in he was one of the first Italian giallo guys that we
yeah.
reviewed, right? Because it was 1962, The Eye. So I mean, he was in a lot of Italian films. He mentioned that, and he said at this time, his Italian wasn't as it was good, but it was not as great as it was. It was a little rusty. Uh, but overall, he enjoyed this film, dude. I think he liked working on this film after it
Yeah.
was all said and done. It had its value to it.
Most people have always said good things about working with Margheriti. I haven't really heard anyone say that they may say different things about the films themselves, but in terms of him, they never said anything bad about working with him.
Yeah.
Um, like we'll talk about it in the next movie, but Warbeck specifically, Warbeck liked working with Fulci. He thought he was fine, but he said Margheriti was just a little bit more relaxed to work with compared to him. And I think that that's generally the vibe I get from Margheriti, is that he was kind of just hands off and kind of let the actors do their thing, and just wanted to make a quality film in terms of the stylistic and effects stuff, not necessarily the acting quality, which would make sense because he was making so many films.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that and in the documentary, John Saxon mentioned, or not John Saxon, but Giovanni had mentioned about Fulci, about working with Fulci, and how so many people said that he was problematic and had issues, and wasn't the nicest guy, and yada yada yada. But he mentioned he never had any issues. He said he had personally witnessed issues and problems and actors and whatnot, but for whatever reason, he never had to
Most
do
of
it.
the time, people think Fulci's fine, a bit over the top, but not usually difficult to work with as long as you knew your lines and were professional.
Yeah, he
Um,
felt like because he was theatrically trained,
yeah,
he said, I think that had a little to do with it because Fulci, kind of appreciated that from him. So he said he had never had any kind of run ins like that, but he did personally see it.
I've actually heard people seemingly have more problems working with Dario Argento than
Yeah,
Lucio Fulci, truth
I
be
bet.
told. Same thing goes, Ricardo Freda is another one where it seemed like nobody liked working with Ricardo Freda for some reason.
Right.
Um, he was another one. Lenzi, for the most part, people are fine with, except for Giovanni, for whatever
Yeah.
reason.
Well, he even said in here because he went back to Cannibal Ferox and he mentioned about the animal cruelty that he was totally against, and and how it was kind of filmed in a very I will call it nasty way. I forget how exactly Giovanni explained it, but it was very it wasn't good. So, that's why he really, really disliked that, was some
Yeah.
animal cruelty in the way it was filmed. So, but no, this film right here, man, I got to say, Cannibal Apocalypse, man, I'm glad we got to rewatch it because it had been a long time since I'd seen it. And I thought, like I said, the acting was good. I thought the gore effects were good, as I mentioned. And, really, I don't have a lot to say negative about it. I mean, it's not what you would go to as your normal cannibal film, but I kind of dug that, right? I mean, we're coming out of all these jungle films
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
horrible,
Urban
animal
cannibal film.
cruelty and all these different things, and we got this. I appreciated seeing stuff on the streets and this contagion, like you said, Rabid, David Cronenberg's Rabid, and different things. Like, it really worked. It was like, okay, it's far fetched and whatever, so what? But hey, John Saxon, I thought he done a great job, and I thought everybody looked good in this one. And yeah, good movie, man. What else you got on this one as far as tidbits? And then you got anything on the dubbing corner?
The only other thing I wanted to mention, I enjoyed the fight scene because you can see some of John Saxon's martial arts coming through that scene with the kicks.
Oh yeah.
Tony King was obviously a former football player, so the guy knew how to physically handle himself. Apparently, he's like the lead of security for Public Enemy now.
Oh wow.
He has been for a while, apparently.
Nice.
So I like that scene because it's like, yeah, they're pretty capable, or at least believable, of handling multiple people on their own. Whereas Giovanni, I think, is taking on one guy and just pulls his eyes out. Giovanni is probably not the most believable guy in a fight scene. I gotta be honest.
No, not at all. But I did like the eye gouge scene.
Yeah, yeah. So dubbing, we got Jane, played by Elizabeth Turner, is dubbed by Susan Spafford. Ramiro Olivieros, Dr. Phil Mendez is dubbed by Ted Rusoff. Let me scroll down here. Nick Alexander is dubbing Valentino Valentini as one of the other cops. I can't remember his name. Hill, maybe, I'm not sure. Larry Dolgan is dubbing Giovanni Lombardo Radice as Charles Bukowski. That one I'm not 100% sure on, but I think it's him.
Okay.
Robert Sommer is dubbing the cop named Parker, which is actually Eduardo Margariti. That's Antonio Margariti's son.
Nice.
I don't know if I have any other ones. He's dubbing. Oh, he dubs another cop. Nick Alexander dubs another cop, and it's I think it's in like one of the ambulances or something. Okay. I heard his voice again. He'll often do that. He'll sneak his voice into some other roles too.
Nice. Let's see. What do we got on our all stars? I know John Saxon's.
Yes. Let me look here. John's. Yeah, he would be at least a few by now. It's usually easier for me to do this on my phone because it's easier to type in. Hold on a second. Okay, John Saxon. We have I Know the Evil Eye, the girl who knew too much, and Hands of Steel. That's 3 so far. I don't think there's anything else we've done with him yet.
Okay.
We will eventually, though. So he currently would be a superstar with that. Elizabeth Turner, I wanted to check. Yeah, she was in The Psychic. She was a mother at the very beginning of The Psychic. Nice. So that makes her an all-star. I had remembered her being in something else. Cinzia de Corollis was in Cat o' Nine Tails, so that makes her an all-star.
Nice. Giovanni
Lombardo Radice. I'm just trying to look here, see what we have done and what we haven't. It's getting Cannibal Ferox, House on the Edge of the Park, Body Puzzle, Phantom of Death. He's an all-time great with all of that now.
Yes. So, yeah. Yes. As he well should be.
Yeah. I don't know if there was anybody else. I'll look. Ramiro Olivieros was in the Pajama Girl case, and I actually think I remember him in that now. So he's an all-star. Valentino Valentini, Cannibal Ferox. I know there's more. Oh, it's Seven Deaths in the Cat's Eye.
Okay.
So he's a superstar now, and we'll end up doing more with him. I'm not seeing that film on here for some reason. It must have a weird poster, but I know he was in that. May not be credited on here for some reason, because he's literally the villain of the movie. He's a killer. So yeah,
he would need to be in there.
Yeah, he's also a superstar, and that's what I have for this.
Nice. Well, Cannibal in the Streets, aka Apocalypse Tomorrow, aka Invasion of the Flesh Hunters, aka Cannibal Holocaust, aka Tough City. Lots of titles under this one as normal. But Apocalypse Domain, you name it, it's been called a little bit of everything. But I got to say, man, entertaining. So, what do you come with a rating on this one?
9.
9. I was like 8.5, but I think I could bump it to a 9. I think you could make me go that direction. So, Cannibal Apocalypse, 9 and a 9.
This film has gotten so much better for me with every viewing. I think the first time I saw it, I think I gave it like a 5, then I gave it like a 7. Now I'm giving it a 9.
Yeah, it does get better. You just got to ride with it and just kind of get the vibe and just roll with it and have fun. So Cannibal Apocalypse down the drain there, 9s for us. Now we're going to go to a adventure, fantastical adventure. Let's just say, we'll call it what it is, Raiders of the Lost Ark. But we have Ark of the Sun God from 1984. So Ian, what you got for a plot synopsis?
Who needs Indiana Jones when you've got Rick Spear? Rick's a master cracksman, the best damn thief in the business, and he's been hired to find the fabled burial chamber of King Gilgamesh and retrieve the valuables within. But he's not the only one on the treasure hunt. Others have their eyes on the loot and they'll stop at nothing to get it. A late career highlight from Italian genre favorite Antonio Margheriti with a characteristically charming performance from David Warbeck as the dashing Rick. Ark of the Sun God tips its fedora at Raiders of the Lost Ark, but adds its own wild invention into the mix. The Tomb Raiders of 88 films are proud to present the 4K UHD premiere of this fabulous slice of 80s adventure.
Dun, dun, dun. Once again, my first time viewing of this movie, so this was a complete new watch. And I got to say, I had fun. It's not a great film, but I had fun with it. This thing, Ian, I text you, dude. There are some miniature race car scene, or not race car, but miniature race scenes in this movie that was chef kiss to the sky. They literally looked like RC cars being driven around and explosions. And I was like, dude, how they were able to match cars of a model type size to real life cars and the crashes and everything. It was hilarious. It was great.
Yeah, I think because there's another car chase later, and I think that one is real. I think you can tell because of the speed ramping.
Yes.
And it's done in a desert, so it was probably a little easier to film. Whereas this, they needed like a train, like a train yard environment. So makes sense. Plus, they probably didn't really have the budget. To be honest, I think they do really well with whatever budget they did have because there's some good locations, some good set pieces, and all the stuff at the end with the scepter and that whole thing with the, I don't exactly know, whatever cave they're in or whatever. That all of that looks pretty good for the most part. Especially the part when he goes down into that chasm or whatever it is, and there's like that lava and all those pillars and stuff. It was noted in the commentary that at the end, when some of the pillars are falling down, you can actually catch someone pushing one on their hand, which I thought was pretty funny. The commentary was with Troy and Eugenio, and I thought they were both very entertaining.
I bet they were having fun with this one.
Really, this movie has like a bunch of, it just kind of has a few different locations and set pieces. You got this sort of boat, you got the car chase, then you got the part when he's chasing the people when his girlfriend gets kidnapped, very similar to Raiders of the Lost Ark, by the way. He uses like that, high pressure hose to knock a bunch of people off the boat. He does a really cool stunt where he swings from that rope at one point. But then you've got him breaking into John Steiner's place, then he hires him. You got them going to the desert where there's like that big swastika in the ground for some reason, which is where they know where they are. This is like the swastika marks the spot. And then you got all that stuff in the caves. Then they go to the entrance to where the scepter is. So, Gilgamesh's Ark or whatever. So there's a lot of different moving around. The locations all look pretty good. the Turkish locations, I would say, look really, the Istanbul, I think locations are pretty good. I think they actually shot on location for some of this. I'm sure the interiors are all at like the Palace Studios or something, but well, actually they may not be, because if it was Turkish produced, they may have had to use somewhere else. Actually,
Yeah.
around this time there was some Turkish funding in these films, because there were a number of Eurocrime films, namely one starring Richard Harrison, that made use of Turkish funding and production.
I mean, it definitely shows Turkey as some of the filming locations.
Yeah. Maybe back then I would have enjoyed going there, not now.
Yeah, not so much now. No.
Yeah. Not so much any place foreign
No.
now with some of the situations
Right.
we're in. I don't want to get into politics.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it's interesting. David Warbeck, this is one of those films where you see this guy probably could have been a pretty good James Bond. I mean, he has
That's
that.
it. That's exactly what I was thinking through this movie. Like,
Well, apparently he was sort of on call throughout the whole entire 1980s to be a replacement if Roger Moore dropped out of the role. His story goes that he found out Timothy Dalton got the role by seeing something on television, and he like made a phone call or something, and they said, "Yeah, you're too old now," or something. Um,
well, they
I
even
mean,
mentioned Roger Moore in this movie like once or
yeah,
twice.
as like an inside joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What were you expecting, Roger Moore? Something like that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, he has that like raised eyebrow look. He has
Yep.
that ability to like smile without showing his teeth. That's like really charming for some reason.
Right.
He's got some good comedic timing. It's kind of interesting because in this movie, at least when I watch it, he's kind of a buffoon in this movie at points. I mean, he's a good thief, but like in
Yeah.
fights, he almost never wins a fight. He's not particularly good with a gun. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
They kind of make him look silly at parts of this movie, but he's still credible in terms of, I mean, he does a good job in the car chase, so we'll give him that.
Sure.
And
Sure.
the part with the the pressure hose and everything. Maybe
Yeah.
he's just more methodical and resourceful than he is actually physically good with fights.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I really enjoy him as a film presence.
Yeah.
Anytime I see him, and he has a star quality to where if he had gotten some opportunities in more mainstream films, I think he would have done really good.
100%. We got our good buddy Luciano Picazzi in this one. Who
Yes.
love his character in this one. John Steiner, Ricardo Palacios. The cast is really good in this one, and there's a lot going on because this is a fantasy, adventure film. So you got a lot of the espionage type situations going on. You even have not the stone rolling, but you got something similar to a stone rolling from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Just all these different things. Indiana Jones Temple of Doom, all this stuff that I thought it was fun. I was like, dude, they're totally riffing off of it and having fun. And this is rolling, dude. This is like a lot of fun. Like it's a fun adventure film that pays off at the end. The miniature chase sequence, car sequences, or whatever you want to call it, were hilarious. So good, so fun. Like, and it wasn't just this, and it just wasn't like, let's have a miniature car roll. Like, no, they had like little bodies in there, and like there's these little jumps and little fireworks and different. I was like, dude, they went all out on this. Like, they legit went all out King Kong style on it, and I thought they done a great job. And I just, man, I was looking back when you look at the cinematography by Sando Mancordi, I thought shot well. Aldo Tamburilli did the music. I thought the music was fun, even though it had that goofy song I mentioned to you guys. The soundtrack of this film, holy crap! I'm pretty sure Severn has the soundtrack. I'm pretty sure it's
That would be interesting.
in the set. I'm almost positive. I remember listening to the Severn film podcast, and they talked about how, oh my God, during just this whole movie, and they mentioned specifically the soundtrack. And
Did the cinematography for The Last Blood and Hunters of the Golden Cobra, so he worked with Marguerite again.
I was trying
another
to
one. Oh yeah, he did it for Sabata as well, which is a really good spaghetti western. Yeah, and Audio Sabata, but
yeah,
first Sabata is awesome. I can't remember. I lost my train of thought. Luciano Pagosi tells you how people age differently back then, because he's only like 55 in this movie. He looks older. He's like the Wilford Brimley of Italy.
Yeah, poor guy.
He ended up living till he was in his 80s, though. I think he died in like 2008.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Susie Sudlow, I kind of liked in this. This is the only thing I've ever known that she was in, to my knowledge. I mean, I thought she was fine as sort of the, the girlfriend of the thief or archaeologist. John Steiner is great. He's always good in any scene he's in. He's dubbing his own voice here as well. That part when he gets up from the wheelchair is pretty funny. He's like, "Oh, I needed something to make sure Rick would do what he was supposed to do." So that was that was my way of doing it. And then he ends up being, the action guy later on, driving the car, killing a bunch of people with a Thompson. They kill so many people at the end. They kill like 30 people.
They do.
Yeah. And then you have David Warbeck and Atakin Akaya, I think, plays Prince Abdullah, doing the sword fight at the end.
Yeah.
It definitely has its sort of adventure set pieces. Like John Steiner's character is like a lot of like the Indiana Jones movies or Tomb Raider movies have this too, where it's like the rich guy who wants the artifact or whatever. Sometimes they'll end up being the villain of the film, or sometimes they'll end up helping the hero. It kind of depends. You think of Julian Glover in Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, where he becomes the villain of the film, or Tomb Raider, Ian Glenn's character. It's kind of similar. I did enjoy Ricardo Palacios as Muhammad or Mahmoud, depending on which version you're watching. Sort of, he's kind of playing like the John Rhys Davies kind of role here a little bit. There's that part when he gets shot and he's like, "Oh yeah, my wallet must have helped block the shot." That was funny.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, but I enjoy this one. The scenes in the caves, and I'm talking about like the caves before they get to the big scepter entrance, is that the stuff with the snakes. Like it just has some really good locations and set design, and I enjoy a lot of this film. I don't understand why he drinks Bacardi and milk. That's kind of an odd choice.
Yeah,
should have just done a White Russian. I think that would have been better. That's a little bit more of a complete.
Which that Bacardi and milk gets him in trouble in one of the scenes too. So
yeah, it does. Well, it gets Luciano Pagozzi in trouble, and that's one of those great David Warbeck moments. Like the look on his face when he has that light bulb moment. He's like, "Oh, I can use this to knock him out and get him to go with me." Warbeck just has that. I like the part when they say, "Oh, we want to take you alive" or whatever, and he's like, "Well, in that case," and he just zooms away in the car. Probably couldn't put up the middle finger just because this film was supposed to be marketable to kids. I think this is very much a PG rated film for the most part. 100%. I would say,
100%. Yeah, this could have been like a double bill with like Sinbad or any of these adventure films like this, or especially Indiana Jones,
or like the '80s version of King Solomon's Mines with Richard Chamberlain and Sharon Stone.
100%. Yeah. So, but it's entertaining, and I thought the climax of it when they're in the temple or whatever, and they had the scepter, and David Warbeck's character's like realizing like we can't really remove this because I know something bad's gonna happen, and then that's when when Prince Abdullah comes in like, "Oh no, I'm gonna take this," and he's like, "Don't do it. You know what's gonna happen. We're all gonna die." And that da moment, but I had fun, but I totally saw the whole James Bond scenario with David Warbeck's character. I was like, dude, he's totally channeling. He could have been a good one, I think. I really think he could have done it. But man, seeing Luciano Pagozzi just always makes me happy. Always, and his character in this one is a really fun character, Beetle. Yeah, that's right. You heard it, Beetle. And I just really liked his character. I liked all of it. I really enjoyed this film, man. I had a blast, and I would definitely own this one. I would definitely purchase this one and watch again. Would I watch Indiana Jones? Of course, that would be first, and nothing's going to touch that. But this is kind of a good Italian ripoff, man, for sure.
Yeah, I wanted to go over Marguerite's run here. So, 1980, he does Cannibal, Apocalypse, and The Last Hunter. 1981, he only does one film, which is Car Crash, which apparently has John Travolta's brother in it.
Ooh.
In 1982, he does Tiger Joe. I needed to find it. It had a different language in the title.
Yeah, I cannot. When IMDb does the Italian names, I'm like, why can't you just put it in American?
1982, he does Tiger Joe, Hunters of the Golden Cobra. 1983, he does Your Hunter from the Future. 1983. He also does Tornado: Last Blood, a TV miniseries called Il Mondo Dior.
Mm.
That at least sounds somewhat translatable, but I'm not sure if I dare say what that English title would be
Yeah.
without looking. Then 1984, he does Ark of the Sun God, Codename Wild Geese. 1985, Jungle Raiders and Commando Leopard. So
Wow.
that's that whole run from 80 to 85 for him. Pretty
Okay.
amazing. 1987, he does Treasure Island and Outer Space. 1988, he does The Commander and Alien from the Deep. So he was working throughout the 80s and still making, at least to me, very high quality films. David Warbeck, I had heard on the commentary, and I already kind of knew this. He really embraced the convention scene when it sort of became a thing in
Mm.
America for a little while. Unfortunately, he didn't really live long enough to see it too much. I think if he were
Yeah.
still around now, he would be kind of like where Ian McCulloch's at, where he'd just still be going to these conventions probably. But he seemed
Probably.
to embrace it before a lot of other people did. He seemed to enjoy it as well, from what I've
Mm.
heard.
Yeah. I think the poster art on this one's really cool. Once again, the music's fun. It's goofy. It's disco-y. It's got a lot of different, it's just a really odd beat for some of the music in this one. If you get a chance and you listen to podcasts, check out the Severn Film Podcast if you don't already. But listen to their podcast, and they talk about the release of this, and it's hilarious, man, how they kind of go into some of the details and stuff. But good stuff. But no, man, I like this one. The script, let's see, written by Giovanni Palucci and Giovanni Simonelli, and yeah, cinematography once again by Sandro Mancori. Looks good. It looks big. It looks extravagant. The miniature sets, once again, they went all out, dude. You know 100% when it's a miniature and when it's not. But man, it's so fun. I was just ear to ear smiling, Ian. I had to text you when I saw that first. I was like, dude, this is like miniatures. I love this, dude. I'm such a sucker for shit.
Bruno Mattei reused it in Cop Game too as
Yeah, when you
stock
said
footage
that, I
for
was
that
like, I
chase.
gotta watch Copland. I gotta
Yeah,
watch.
just of course Bruno Mattei did that. It's like, of course, when you hear that, you're like, yeah,
Yeah,
Captain Obvious. Of course he did that. That's
right.
Bruno Mattei did that all the time. Of course he injected different in shots to the car or whatever, but
Yeah,
it's still, yeah. I mean, I actually think this scene's pretty well done with how they cut away to David Warbeck and the other two people driving the car.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, so for dubbing corner, I think I only have two for this one. It'd be Aytekin Akaya as Prince Abdullah is dubbed by Ted Rusoff, and his henchman Suleiman Turan, hope I'm pronouncing that first name right, is dubbed by Nick Alexander. Those are the only two that I got for this one.
Okay. Who do we have all stars and stuff? I know David Warbeck, but
Warbeck, well, obviously we're going to have Alan Collins, Luciano Pagozzi, John Steiner as well. There's one big movie we haven't covered yet with John Steiner that we'll eventually get to, a certain Giallo movie where he plays the villain.
mm-hmm.
Um, we'll get to that one eventually, but yeah. So David Warbeck, I think it might only be a couple with him so far. Yeah, well, so Duck You Sucker, where he had the small role in the flashback, and then The Last Hunter. So that makes him a superstar for now because we haven't done anything else. I think there's a couple that we're kind of savoring. Let's put it that way. Luciano Pagozzi, Blood and Black Lace, All the Colors of the Dark, The Whip and the Body, The Case of the Bloody Iris, and God Said to Cain. Well, we actually did that on the main show.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
that I think about it, but we can still include that. Rome Armed to the Teeth, aka The Tough Ones, Seven Deaths in the Cat's Eye. I don't know if there are any more after that yet. Oh, The Last Hunter. And that might be it for him, but that's, all-time great background player is Luciano Pagozzi.
Yeah.
Ricardo Palacios, I knew it. So he has small parts in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and for a few dollars more. I think he's one of the henchmen.
I'm looking
Most
at
of
him
his
right now
films.
on IMDb, and I said totally. I thought it was
Yeah,
indefinitely good, the bad, and ugly.
yeah. So that I think makes him a superstar. Unless there's anything I'm missing. No, I don't think so. Um, John Steiner. What else have we done with? Have we done anything else with them so far?
I
I
don't
don't know
think
if
we
we
have.
have.
I don't think
Not
we have.
not yet. We're gonna end up doing more with him though.
Yeah.
At a certain point, because there's more of these.
Well, you got
These, there's
Tenebrae and
yeah, that's the
others.
big one. Shock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're
Um,
definitely going to be getting to him.
yeah.
Uh, Man, Caligula. Ooh, I still have not seen Caligula. I need to see that. But anyway, all right. Well, cool. Whoops, sorry, kicking this around here. Let's get my.
Really sucks that we lost him a little earlier than we probably should have, because he would always do interviews for these too, and I think he was starting to become a guy who was one of the go-tos for that. And unfortunately, I mean, he was still, I think he was in his 80s already, but still he was probably taken a bit younger than he should have been because it was a car accident. He was 81.
Wow. So, what do you have on special features on the disc that you have?
I don't think there's too much. There's a commentary with Eugenio and Troy Howarth, an interview with Alberto Moriani and Eduardo Margariti, and an interview with Massimo Antonio Gelling, who does interviews for every production design movie that he's ever done. I think he's like the guy. They're like, is he available whenever he does production design or something? Because I've seen his name on so many releases. I mean, good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him for doing that.
Nice. Absolutely. Let's see. So, what else you got for this one, brother?
Not much else I can think of. I did want to mention one scene that made me laugh, which was the part when Beetle drops his like flask or whatever, the fifth or whatever he's got in his
Yeah.
hand onto the ground, and they're like, "Oh, that's where we have to start digging up or whatever." That was really funny. It's like they were all looking for the key to open it up, open the
Yeah.
door, open the temple up and whatever, and they couldn't find it. And then he drops it, and it's like, oh, that's where you got to go.
I love it. All right, well let's go ahead and go to ratings on this one. So 1984 Ark of the Sun God. I'll come in. I'm gonna give this a 7. I'm a 7 on the first time viewing. May go up with future viewings. I need to buy this one eventually and own it and rewatch it. But where do you come at on this
7.5.
one? Okay, so 7.5 and a 7. Cool. All right. So we do have a voicemail to get to here, Ian. So as we I should have had this already pulled up, but let me go to our voicemail section here, and I think you might recognize the individual that has called in. I love it. I love it when your mom or dad calls because it kind of, I don't know, but I know you've got a story, I'm sure, because I believe you and your mom saw it together.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I think that's pretty awesome, dude. I love that. So let's see here. Let's get to the call. Did your dad get to see it?
No, he actually mistimed. He thought he had like another week when
Oh,
I
okay.
called him earlier today, so he might end up watching him. I'm not sure.
Okay. All right, let's go to your mom and see what she has to say for us.
Hello, my name is Christy. I'm just calling in about the Ark of the Sun God movie, the Jones exploitation movie. I watched it last week with my son, and I liked it because I thought it kind of just reminded me of that whole genre of all those movies back in the 80s that were, the adventure suspense type thing, but also kind of fun and kind of hokey and entertaining, but definitely fiction. And that whole genre I think was hugely popular at that time, and so it doesn't surprise me that there were some knockoffs of it. I didn't think it was too bad of a knockoff. I thought there were some similarities to the Indiana Jones movies, like the rats in the water, and then the snake's trying to get his legs when he falls down that hole. Those were all things that made me remember. It's been a long time since I've watched the original movies too. And I thought it was interesting that he was a safecracker, being asked to get the scepter for a couple of different groups of people. Because I don't remember if Indiana Jones was like into illegal things or not. I thought he was just like a archaeologist, I guess. But it never occurred to me that maybe he was doing things that were sort of nefarious as well. So anyways, it was entertaining. I thought it was kind of funny at the end how, you know, they were all in the tomb together, just kind of hanging out and watching it collapse and and watching everything happening. And then, of course, they all made it out alive, so that was good. At least all the good guys did. So, yeah, it was a pretty good movie. And like I said, just gave me a feeling of more of the memories of the 80s, the movies that came out in the 80s, and that's when I was growing up. So thank you. Bye.
I love it. Great call from your mom, Christy. Oh, yeah, that was it. So Ian, what a great call, dude. I loved hearing.
Yeah.
And she's spot on with everything. It's just it's fun. It's fun.
Well, it's interesting because, you know, expanding upon something she said, it was during the 80s, you had a lot of, like, it wasn't just the Indiana Jones films. You had Romancing the Stone because of it. Then you had other ones like King Solomon's Mine, which I like the first King Solomon's Mine. The second one's kind of not great. But you had then all these other ripoffs. And it's like that film just doesn't really exist anymore. And that's why when one of them tries to come along, it's usually, to me, something that I give more of a pass to. Like I enjoyed both of the Tomb Raider films, the Angelina Jolie one specifically. And Roger Ebert even talked about that when I think he reviewed the second one, The Cradle of Life. He said, we just don't have big budget adventure films like this anymore. It's just kind of a forgotten thing. When Uncharted came out a few years back, I actually remember enjoying that film a little more than I probably should have, because I was like, we just don't have films like this anymore. Hollywood doesn't usually give, $100 million to some random adventure film. Like it once was. If it is, it's usually like an adventure plot within a superhero movie or something. And it's just a forgotten sort of demographic or genre of film that was bigger at one point in time, mainly because of the Indiana Jones films and people being inspired to do everything because of them.
Yeah. 100%. Well, that is your episode tonight. So let's go to what we're going to review next episode, which we're going to be looking at we're doing Sergio Corbucci because you're wanting to get into the Sergio Corbucci month. And we're going to be looking at 1967's Burt Reynolds starring in Navajo Joe.
Yes.
We both have the disc here. I've got the Blu-ray. I think you got the 4K or you got the DVD?
DVD.
You got the DVD. That's right. You got the DVD. I got the Blu-ray from Kino Labor. And we're going to be doing the classic, The Great Silence, which I have never seen, a.k.a. Sergio Corbucci spaghetti Western. Once again, I've never seen it, and it's got Klaus Kinski, so I can't wait to check this
and maybe
out.
The best performance of his whole entire career.
I
haven't seen enough of the Herzog films to really say that, but it is one of the best performance. Maybe his best performance in an Italian film. We'll put it that way. So
I'm looking forward to it. Ian had gifted me this Film Movement Blu-ray a few years ago for Christmas, I believe it was. So I can't wait. And then I just recently picked up some, the Navajo Joe, which is, man, I like the artwork for Navajo Joe. Check that out. Burt Reynolds in a Western. Hey, why not? So that's what we're going to review on the next episode. Once again, Navajo Joe, The Great Silence. Go ahead and watch them, and you can follow along with us. Fun episode tonight, Ian. So thank you for the recommendations of the movies. And let us know, Ian, what do you got for an outro?
Well, so you can find me on Instagram, X, and Blue Sky at Urzanomics. And you can add me on Facebook or Letterboxd if you want. I don't think there's any other stuff coming up for me right now. So that's about it.
All right. And if you go to Land of the Creeps, if you go to landofthecreeps.blogspot.com, it's basically where we just host our episodes. So they'll go over and they'll be over there. But anyways, click the episode and you can get the show notes, and down below you can follow all the links. You can follow us Facebook, Instagram, X, and all that. We are reviewing, you won't see it here, but if you're listening, you'll hear us with Mortis Vision with the Mortises, my wife and I, Pearl. We're going to be reviewing good Lord, Qui-Gon. I will get it out here in a second, but we were supposed to do it on the last episode, didn't get to it, but we're going to be reviewing Qui-Gon this week. So that's what you'll hear if you're listening to this on your audio podcast platform. If you're watching this on YouTube, done. You're not going to get nothing else after this. We do have Vinegar Syndrome month release coming up pretty soon and some other stuff, so we'll get into that. So once again, subscribe to this YouTube channel. I would absolutely love and adore if you would do that, and follow us over at landofthecreeps.blogspot.com. Listen to the podcast. We're going to get out of here. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, X, and anywhere else, and we'll see you on the flip side, as we like to say, Ian.
Get your jolly on.
And we'll see you on the flip side. Peace!